Yo, this client interview is with Jesus Santos. He actually had SDR experience in tech sales, but he left to get into high ticket, where he had some good months, but he also found himself in a very inconsistent and unreliable role where commissions were good and they were bad, and it just wasn't a place to build a career. So he hit me up and we got him back into tech sales at an amazing company, fully remote, 90K role in just 43 days. So enjoy his story of how he did it. Well, Jesus Santos in the house. Dude, 43 days. That's how long it took you from your first application to getting the verbal. 90K role, fully remote, great company. How are you feeling, man?
I feel great. I think that it has been a journey. I think I underestimated how much growth there needed to be. I kind of thought that and I guess I'll get more into it, but I kind of thought that I'll be done in like 30 days. It took a little more than that, but looking back at it, I needed that extra time. I needed that time to grow and to really develop not only myself but just my understanding of like where things are going.
Mm. Okay. So a lot of people listen to this. I mean, they don't know you. So why don't you give a little bit of your background? Like, what were you doing before Sword, and kind of what your career looked like?
Yeah, so I have been in sales for about 3 years now, so a lot of that experience was in high ticket sales. So the thing about high ticket sales is 100% commission only, and like where all that started was I had a friend who was making a lot of money in that space. He was making like 10, 15K a month, and so you hear that a lot from like a lot of these mentors, and that's not to say that it's not realistic. Those people can reach those numbers. I've certainly reached numbers close to that, but the problem is that they don't tell you is that you you're only going to hit that number for like a month or two, and it's not any fault of your own. It's because that's how those high ticket businesses go. They'll go up really high and then they'll go down and then the marketing shuts down. And so you're always constantly looking for new work. You're looking for the next big offer. And I got really sick of that because I got tired of moving from one place to the next place. So I'm thinking, oh, wow, I make a lot of money. But like at the end of the year, when you actually add it up, I'm making, like 50, 60K annually. It's just the majority of it was made in 2 or 3 months. So I feel really good in those months. But then the other times I'm making like 3, 4 grand a month. And it's through no fault of my own. Or rather, it's my not skill wise, but just because I'm putting myself in that position where I'm not leveraging myself as much as I could. So I got really interested in like tech sales because of that, because I knew that there's a lot more consistency and stability there. And like as far as high ticket, your skills are based on negotiation and persuasion and connecting with people, which are really important things. But you're not really doing a lot of other sales work. The leads are coming to you. If you're calling leads, they're on the list that are they're not super warm, they're not super hot, but they're there for you, right? And I knew that if I wanted to have a real career, one, I need stability, and two, I need to really actually develop my skills, which means getting into a place that's a little uncomfortable.
Mm. Hmm. Yep. That zone of discomfort, we all hate it because we're human beings, but I can speak from my own life. I've only grown when I've been uncomfortable. Only grown. Um, so you had SDR experience, but then you left SDR to get some of the high ticket commissions, like kind of figure that out. But ultimately you came back to tech sales. Is that right?
Yeah, so I did actually get a little stint in tech sales, and so I've heard about it for a few years, and I didn't really know how to get into it. I just stuck with the high ticket stuff because that's what all my friends were doing. That's what I knew I was good at. But I eventually made the transition just because I got connected to somebody at one of the C-suites who was leading at a company, and I started working there. And as far as the day to day, I felt like it was just a much better fit. I was doing a lot more growth wise, like I was mentioning. I was learning these skills in outbound and how to actually interact with like important C-suite level executives, as opposed to like the most I do before is like maybe talk to the owner of a small business. And then I left that role just because the compensation didn't really make sense specifically for that role. So I went back to high ticket because A, I know it's familiar, and B, a lot of what informs my decisions right now is just my family. I'm providing a lot for the household just because my dad, he used to be the breadwinner, and now things are getting a little tight. So I figured, okay, let me get back into high ticket. Yes, it's commission only, but I know I can make it work. And then
Yeah.
unfortunately, like things happened with the tariffs, which really screwed up the economy. And for like a high ticket industry, especially one where I was working with like financial products and lending,
Mhm.
that really screwed things up. So I realized, okay, I know that I'm good at high ticket, but I should have just learned my lesson. I should have just doubled down on tech because I loved everything. The only problem with that one experience was just the pay, and there were
Mhm.
some weird things going on there. And so that's when I realized, okay, I need to put myself in the best position I could possibly be in to really break into the industry properly because I have extra experience that most people don't
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And if I leverage that, I can get a really good opportunity, which I mean, working with you, I was able to see that and go through that process and actually make it.
Yeah, one of the biggest obstacles people run into when they're trying to get into tech is they simply don't have experience. You were in a different boat though. Like you were able to point to I was an SDR at this company, did these activities. So for you, what do you think was like the biggest roadblock or obstacle that you felt like worried about when it came to landing or breaking back into tech? What did you see as that obstacle?
Yeah, for me, it was just like you could definitely make it with no experience and no experience in quotes because I think that a lot of what people do in their own work and other jobs can translate to real experience. And I even use that in my interviews. I wasn't always pointing to my explicit sales work. I was pointing to me being a bartender, to being a security guard, to wanting to be a teacher growing up. I was pointing to all these things, and they were all relevant through the process. But for me, the main issue was I was just being lazy with it. Like I was looking at LinkedIn Easy Apply and thinking, hey, my resume should speak for itself. Maybe I'll get an interview, maybe not. And then I started realizing, okay, that's not enough. I need to start looking at what else I could do. And then working with you, I I kind of knew that like, oh, you could reach out to hiring managers, but I just didn't know how to go about it. And my fear was if I did it the wrong way, I would just be wasting time. Yes, I would be learning, but I would be just prolonging it because and I think you'll understand what I mean when I say this. I could have probably done it on my own,
Mhm.
but it would have taken me like 6 months
Yeah.
because I would go into the process thinking, okay, well, now I know how to call hiring managers. Now I know what to say. Oh, now they want me to do an assessment. Well, I messed up two or three. Now I know what they're actually looking for. But these cycles take like a month. So even if you're doing things right at stage one or stage two and you mess up on stage three, now you have to wait another month to try again. And
Mhm.
so I, coming from the high ticket background, I'm selling a lot of coaching, and the worst objection I hear from people is, "Oh, I'll just figure it out on my own. Oh, I'll do this and I'll figure it out on my own, or I don't really need that much help." And my whole job every day is explaining to people, "No, you can't do that," and then convince them on making that change. So for me, I already kind of did that mental work and say, I'm not going to let myself get into that position. I'm going to go seek coaching right now.
Mhm.
Maybe I might not think that I necessarily need it that much, but I know that down the road it'll come up. And I was exactly right because when I first started, I was super confident, and there were moments where I was like, okay, this is harder than I thought. But that's why I got the coaching because I knew those things would come up.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually don't disagree with you. Like when people tell me, "Hey, I think I can do this on my own." I'm like, "Yeah, you probably can, but it will take you if you have experience, it'll take you around 6 months. If you don't have experience, you're going to be trying to break into tech sales for a year." Like that is actually how long this is going to take you. And it's for exactly the reason you just said of you don't know what you don't know. And the only way to find out if you're doing it alone is to screw things up, gather that data, that feedback and go, "Okay, cool. Let me try to refine this or reiterate this or try this." And it takes a lot of time to learn from failure. And so a concept I explain to potential clients is this concept of ignorance debt, right? Like whenever you do something new, you always have to pay off a certain amount of ignorance debt. Like the first time you ever learn how to drive a boat, there's ignorance debt right there. You're going to pay that ignorance debt off by time or money. It's the only way. You're either going to pay it in time of I've been learning how to drive a boat for 6 months at this point. I think I'm ready for that test. Or you pay a coach to teach you how to drive the boat, and then a month later, you're driving the boat. It's one or the other. And people have different situations, but for you, man, like you were so locked in on your goals of your why. Like I'm doing this for my family. I could tell you had no time to waste, and that's the right mindset to come in with. Remind me, where did we even connect? Was this Instagram that you came across Sword, or where?
Yeah, so it was Instagram. It's funny because like when I started the coaching, going back to what I was saying earlier about being in a high ticket, there's a lot of times people will see like Instagram gurus and be like, "Oh, that's not legit. That's not real." And there's some truth to that, but because I've worked in that space, I know who's legit and who I don't want to work for because they're not providing good service and who is legit. So when I saw your reel, I saw it on like a Sunday and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." Like I remember being in tech like, "Yeah, 80, 90K. Wow, that's pretty cool." And then the next day, there was this big thing on the morning meeting where the fulfillment team had screwed something up. And so my client that I brought to them a week ago, they had ghosted for a whole week. And I was so upset because I was like, I put a lot of work into this deal. He was going to bring in 5 or 6 referrals. It was a lot of money on this deal. And I was like, what the heck? Like, we're supposed to get him business funding. A lot of times we get a percentage of that commission. But in this deal, I convinced him, hey, pay up front and we'll cut you a discount. So he already paid for the service and nobody was reaching out to him. I got so upset. I talked to my manager. We yelled at some people on the team and I was like, I can't believe this. Like this is insane. And then I thought back to the ad the day before and I said, you know what? I'm gonna book in a call on Wednesday and then I'll see what it's about. And then I showed up and I talked to the team and I was just like, yeah, like I don't really have any questions. Like I feel like everything that I would have to ask would just get answered through the process. I know how these things go. And also like I know you're legit. Like I just the way you are on the ads, the first thing that struck out to me when we first spoke was you're exactly the way you are on your Instagram. And like a lot of people online, they'll either play up a persona that's attracting a target audience or they'll play up a certain part of themselves. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just business. I have a personal trainer friend who he'll be a little more silly on his reels because he's targeting he's a personal trainer targeting moms. And then when he actually gets to talk to them, he's more serious because he's like, hey, I need to hold you to your goals. But you are exactly 100% the way you are on your page and on your reels. Like Jack's the real article. Like he is the way he is, there's no discrepancy. It was like crazy because like same background, same voice. I was like, dude, I feel like I'm in the ad now.
I appreciate you sharing that because I think there is warranted skepticism towards online coaching. Like I've been part of programs before where I paid a good amount of money and I didn't get to work with the guy. And I was like, dude, what? Like, what did I sign up for? This is a waste of money. This isn't what I thought. And so I totally actually accept the skepticism. And I get comments all the time, man. Social media is a dumpster fire. It's kind of funny. Um, but this is why I do these videos because it's like I'm just gonna let Jesus talk because like he's a real dude and he has nothing like you have no incentive to sway this one way or the other. Like you signed up, 43 days later, you got an amazing job. And was it easy? No, it was hard, dude. Like this isn't like an online, yo, we'll get you a 90K job, work from home and pick your nose and play video games. Like, no, like it's hard. It's really hard. But if you stay dedicated and you focus and you lock in, you can do it. And that's why you're here and you crushed it and you got an amazing role. And 90K, like 80 to 90K is the average. Like you got the higher end because you grinded for it. So I like to
Yeah,
level set expectations with people. Like I get there's online coaches promising you 100K from home through like Amazon FBA or whatever. This is not that. This is like really hard work and it's a real career and it's hard, but it's so worth it.
yeah, I 100% agree. Because like again, it's funny you bring up the coaching. Like I've sold for offers like that, and what ends up happening is that people they come in thinking like, hey, this is just a side hustle. It's like, no, you will have to do the work. And unfortunately, a lot of those offers they don't provide the actual support system. But what you've done is what I really like about you is that one, you've been an SDR leader, so you know what people are looking for, and that's what really I think drew me to your expertise is knowing that I'm thinking, okay, what are people looking for from me? And I didn't know. So I'm like, I really need help with that knowledge. But also, you're genuinely teaching the skills. It's not something to where, hey, Jack's gonna connect me with these roles and then I'll go through the process and then I'll land a job after 2 or 3 times. No, it's you're being taught the skills to one, do the job to get the job if you don't have those skills. And then even if you do, even if you have sales experience, it's teaching you the etiquette. It's teaching you what's expected of you in these roles. And also it's just teaching you how to be self-sustaining. Because now I know that, worst case scenario, let's say this job, there's like a layoff or something like that happens. I have all the skills I need now to go find a new role, and I never need to worry about that again because you gave us a really solid foundation. And I say us because it's a community, but it is one on one. Like I could reach out to you as much as I want to reach out to you, and you're really good about responding. We talk pretty much every single day. I'm not somebody who 100% needs to be talking all the time, but I really appreciate it for this specific process because in this instance I needed that, and you're really good about finding out what people need to get ahead. And I just think that it's people think it's like, oh, 50-50, like 50% you do the work, 50% Jack does the work. It's 100-100. It's like I need to bring my A game and you need to bring your A game, and you're always doing that. So it's just up to you if you're gonna go and get this mentoring. Understand that whether you do it alone or you do it with Jack, you need to bring 100%. It's
Yeah.
not like you can just coast and do 50% because Jack's there. You still have to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100% right there. I fully agree. So what do you tell the dude on the fence, right? What do you tell the dude who's like, I think I want to get into tech sales. Maybe they don't know much about it, but they're in high ticket. They're in like door to door. They're making okay money, but like you said, it's unstable. And they come across me, some stranger on or on Instagram, and they're like, wow, this is a couple $1,000s, and this is something I'm not even sure about. Like, what do you tell that dude?
I would say if you're in that position, you have some sales experience and it's a lot of commission only. One of the things that a lot of those commission only guys will harp on is like, oh, if you have a base, it's not going to make you hungry. Oh, if you have a base, like that's for people who are scared in their skills. That's not true. The reason why there's a base, because I've been in tech before, is because you're doing more than just selling. You're building up marketing campaigns. You're understanding these profiles. You're doing research. There's a lot of admin tasks outside of just connecting with people because when you're going door to door, not saying every door is going to talk to you, but when you get the chance to talk to someone, you're talking to somebody. When you're high ticket, the leads are coming to you most of the time. And so, as a result, a lot of your work is like, hey, you need to be compensated for the fact that there are no leads, there's accounts, and you have to reach out to them. So what I would say to that guy is find out if that's something that you're actually comfortable with, because if it's not, then hey, this just doesn't make sense. But once it is, understand that this is actually a real path to grow, because commission only, the only way you can grow is by being with the right opportunity and improving your skills. Here, you don't have to be the top guy to make a lot of money. You just need to be good at your job and to develop, and you'll have stability and you can go to different companies. People are going to reach out to you directly. In a commission only role, no one's ever going to reach out to you with a good offer. So understand that, and then like you said about the debt, know that you can either spend time to go and learn these skills and effort and just eat dirt. You'll grow, but I think that time's the most valuable resource we have in your energy. And so if you want to do things right, just go, hey, I'm gonna go get this mentor, I get this coaching, and then you're gonna pay it all off so much faster because you're doing it properly.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, 100%. Okay, what are you most proud of outside of landing a 90K role at a great company in 43 days? Like, was there anything personal? Was there anything internal that you're just proud of developing throughout this process?
I would say it's two things, and they're pretty closely related, but it's like I guess it's the same thing, but in two different contexts. So, being really receptive to feedback. So for me, coming back from that commission only background, a lot of the feedback is like, hey, you can just do this better, or hey, you could have said this or that. And it's at the end of the day, everybody kind of looks at the manager like, well, if I brought you on that call, the same thing would happen. And that is true sometimes because sometimes I would bring the manager on. So my instinct to feedback is like, from that experience, is just, okay, I'll take it and then I'll discard it. And in tech, it wasn't necessarily as much like that, but in that role, I didn't really have much manager oversight past like the first month or two. Here, one of the things that you taught us is to ask for feedback on interviews. One, because it helps us. It looks good because we're like closing the meeting, and then two, it's really helpful because then we get an answer on like a good idea of whether we're moving forward or not. And hearing a lot of the feedback from a lot of different people, it made me realize that okay, there is some like bias or like, oh, this makes sense for this company but not that company. But at the end of the day, I can still incorporate a lot of that. And I can still reflect on it. And I just don't need to react to it immediately in that moment. And then working with you personally, I think that I just had like a space to be really open about things and my thought process, which I feel like I didn't have. And it's not because I'm not somebody comfortable sharing my feelings. It was just that being in high ticket, again, you're moving from offer to offer like every 2 or 3 months. And, if I have the same manager and multiple offers, it's because he's my friend and he's not getting close to anybody there either. He's just my friend. So with friends, it's like sometimes you can be close to them, sometimes you can't be. I think with you, it just kind of forced me to say, okay, I have an opportunity to really be vulnerable about what I'm thinking and where I want to go. And that really helped me just in my life, knowing that hey, it is okay to talk about like where things are headed and where I want to be. It's not weird. It's not like it's a normal topic of discussion with the right people. So I feel like that helped me grow a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like on all fronts, there's a certain level of like vulnerability and just being real that I think you
Yeah,
picked up on. Where it's like even with the managers, it's like, hey, at the end of the interview, like, hey, here's everything on the table. Like, what do you think? Where do we go from here? Type thing. And for you, in a way, it's like that humility of like, I'm just going to open myself up for feedback. And you did that really well in our process because you have every reason to be self confident that you can go get a job in tech sales because you already did. Right. But instead of that persona of like, no, I got this, like, I'm going to figure it out, it was like, hey, I'm confident, but I'm ready to be coached. Like, tell me, show me, teach me. And it was that blend of like the confidence, but the humility that I think sped you up really fast.
yeah, 100%. Because it's like that is like the go-to reaction. Say like, oh, I know this, or like, oh, I know what to do. But the reality is, I know enough to say that I don't know, right?
Mm,
And that there's a reason why you or a hiring manager is saying something, and maybe I just don't see it yet. And so I just want to accept it and then move forward because the reality is, like you're bringing up, I had tech experience. um, you'll see on LinkedIn if you're looking for a job, there's tons of people who get laid off and they still can't get a job and they have more experience than me. They have like 2, 3, 4 years of experience and it takes them a while because experience it really helps. It is valuable. People are gonna bring it up, but it's not the end all be all. Like an important factor, but at the end of the day, if you have the systems and you have the right attitude, that's what's going to help you succeed. The experience is just like a almost like a bonus, honestly.
yeah. I just got off another client interview and I'm excited to post hers. She was a kindergarten teacher and then she was like a ministry director for a church of the kids program. And now she's in a fully remote tech sales role, just like that. So it really is like, yeah, sure, experience helps, but it really is more about the mindset and the action to demonstrate to these managers that you don't just know how to like interview well, but you're actually doing the stuff that they're going to expect of you in the role.
A
So that
hundred
that kind of
percent.
leads me to the last question here is what would your advice be for others? Because there's a lot of people, like you said, trying to get into tech sales right now and they're just not having success. Maybe they don't know about coaching, maybe they do, I don't know. But what's something specific you feel like if they knew to do would actually help them go land a job?
I would say the biggest thing for me is like that deck you would have us make. So for those who don't know, Jack helps us. He has a template of like decks on how to make them, And the first one you work through, it takes you a while because it's new. You're trying to do this right. You're putting a lot of effort into it. But then you do it for every single interview. And what's really important is one, it impresses the recruiter. So it almost like 95% guarantees you're moving on to the next round, which is like the first real interviews with the hiring manager. But also, a lot of what's on my decks that I've seen, I end up using for assessments, for mock calls. Like it's like you just prepared all of that. And so you don't need to stress about the rest of the interview cycle because for the job that I have right now, I don't think I would have had it without the deck. And the reason why is they had sent out a panel assessment literally with a day's notice. And it said, oh, this will take you 2 to 3 hours to do. And I was just like, if I didn't have this deck, I probably would not be able to do this. Because one, I wouldn't know where to start. And then two, it's like, I just don't have the time. But I had it done. So I just reformatted a couple of things. And then I presented and everybody loved it. Everybody there was like, wow, this was the best panel, the deck that we've seen. This is great. And then I got the role because of that. So for me, it's like that extra effort of doing the deck. And like now when I think about getting into the role, there's going to be moments where things like that come up, whether that's with a client or with someone internally. I just want to do the extra mile to show people like, hey, I've been prepared. Hey, I don't just need help with this email. Here's my own email draft. Tell me what you think. Because that's just going to make everybody's life easier.
That is exactly how you get promoted really quickly. It's always doing elements of the job that's above you. It's always going one step further. It's always being the person that says, "Yeah, I'll help out with that," and figuring it out after. That is exactly how I promoted quickly. Like I just made sure to go the extra mile. And so for you, Jesus, I know you're going to go an extra 100 miles because, dude, you are just a workhorse. You're very humble. You're very driven, and your why is going to push you in this next role, man. So I'm really, really proud of you. Way to put in the work. Thank you for trusting me, and thank you for trusting Sword. And dude, God is so good to let us connect like this. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Like I think that I mentioned I wrote on your LinkedIn that if I knew about this earlier, I'd be a lot further ahead. And I really mean that. Like if I know you've been doing this for like a little over a year now, if I saw this 6 months ago, or even when I was in my earlier tech sales role, dude, I would be so much further ahead because for the past 6 months, it kind of felt like my life has just been like derailed or like almost like I'm just not where I was headed because I've been in this high ticket role and I was doing different things in that high ticket space and it's just like I just felt like I wasn't progressing because of what I mentioned earlier. I felt like I was regressing. So to have this opportunity to have the right skill set, to have the right environment just means the world to me. Because now, like you mentioned, I feel like, hey, my life's getting back on track. Like I can go and do the things I actually want to do. And it's gonna take time, but now I have the vehicle for it.
Glory to God, man. 100%. Let's freaking go. I'm excited to see where you end up in the next year. It's going to be huge. Thanks for watching the episode, y'all. If you need help like Jesus, I don't care if you have experience, if you don't have experience, if you don't have a degree, whatever your situation is, if you want to get into tech sales, we can help you do it. 2 links below that you can go to. One is a link to join our free school community. In there is a community of job seekers just like you so that you don't have to do your job search alone. And there's a free guide that I made showing you step by step how to find good job boards, how to land interviews, how to crush those interviews, and how to get great offers. So if you need help and you just want to start on your own, you don't want much involvement, start there. The other link though is to meet with my team. And that's what Jesus did. We jumped on a call with him, talked through his goals, figured out what help he needed, and then we built him a game plan to help him go get a job. And that's exactly why he was able to do this in just 43 days. So if you want to meet with my team to figure out if it makes sense for you and I to work together one-on-one, just like we did with Jesus, grab that link, find a time, and we'll talk to you then. Thanks.